My mom had 17 kids with my dad, my mom and dad. They have 140 grandkids and son-in-law and about 90 great-grandkids. So we're just getting started. Good evening, Your Excellency, Reverend Fathers and Deacons, and beloved sisters, past and present members of our advisory board, volunteers, benefactors, friends of Catholic Charities, and especially our esteemed honorees for 2017. Thank you very much all for coming. Thank you very much to all the parishes who have been so wonderful in supporting this dinner for many years. And I am Dan Grimm. I'm the new Regional Director of Catholic Charities for this pastoral region, embracing both Santa Barbara County and my home county of Ventura. I am before you here to make an introduction, which is kind of funny, because most of you have never met me. I'm introducing somebody who doesn't need any introduction at all, because he's well known to most Catholics in the country. My only excuse for this confusion is that I am just doing what I was told to by Paul and by the advisory board. As you all know, because you're here, they are a very hard group to say no to. And also, once our speaker begins, you will forget my lame introduction and just get caught up in the great truths of the Catholic faith, which he so beautifully expounds. From that, you know that I am talking about our speaker tonight, our auxiliary bishop for the Santa Barbara Pastoral Region, Bishop Robert Emmett Barron. Like his great namesake, Robert Emmett, Bishop Barron has dedicated his learning and oratorical skill to the liberation of his countrymen, not from the oppression of a foreign nation, but from the far more deadly oppression of sin, error, apathy, and despair that our country is in the grip of in so many ways. Through his ministry, Word on Fire, in his work as rector of Mundelein Seminary, through his many books and articles, and most recently through his apostolic witness as the titular Bishop of Macriana and Auxiliary Bishop of Los Angeles, Bishop Barron has touched the hearts of millions. We are so grateful that he is with us here tonight to honor the unsung heroes of the church here in Ventura.
All right, Dan, thank you very much, and thank you everybody. That's the first time I've ever been introduced when Robert Emmett was mentioned, so I'm very pleased with that. A great Irish patriot, great Irish hero. My mother, I must say, was very chagrined when I told her that Robert Emmett was a Protestant. She didn't realize that. But I'm happy to have him mentioned tonight. Listen, it's just great to be with all of you tonight. Just to see you all here is a thrill for me. And if I can just, humbly on behalf of Archbishop Gomez and the Church of Los Angeles, to express my deep gratitude to everybody in this room who supported Catholic Charities, and especially to the honorees. God bless you for that. I was down in LA over the weekend, and I was with the Archbishop this morning at breakfast, and I said, I'm coming up to Ventura for the Catholic Charities dinner, and he just lit up. And he said, 2 years ago I was with those good folks, so give them my very best. Yeah. So the very best from Archbishop Gomez to all of you. And just thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you do, which means an enormous amount to the church. God bless you for that. Glad you all survived Friday, the deluge on Friday. What was it like down here? I was up in Santa Barbara that day, and it was pretty intense. But Lake Cachuma is filling, I hope. Yeah. As I go up Route 154 to Deanery 1, we passed Lake Cachuma. The first time I ever did that, Deacon Chris Sander, my deacon, said, oh, there's Lake Cachuma. I said, Lake Cachuma? They had a pit over there. So it's good to see that filling up a little bit. But we all love the rain, don't we, down this part of the country? Yeah. When I arrived, it was so bone dry, I just couldn't get over it. So delighted to have the rain. Hey, listen, there's one thing on my heart tonight I want to share with you, just really briefly. You know what worries me the most right now in the church? The nuns. And I don't mean women religions. I mean the N-O-N-E-S. The nuns, those who say they have no religious affiliation. There have been all kinds of studies done now the last 10, 20 years that shows that the nuns are the fastest growing religious group in the country. You know, the latest Pew Forum study came out about 2 weeks ago. Said that now 25% of our country would characterize themselves as nuns. That's a quarter of the country, 80 million people would now claim no religion. That's an astronomical increase. When I was a young kid, the number was about 3 or 4% of our country. Now fully 25% claim no religion. And among the young, it's worse. Those 30 and younger, the number is 40%. Among Catholics, it's worse still. Among Catholics 30 and younger, now 50% claim no religious affiliation. You know what that means, everybody? Think of all the children you've seen baptized or confirmed over the past 30 years or so. So the length of my priesthood. Now half of those kids are no longer with the church. Now, I don't say this to you to depress you, but I do think we as a church need to wake up to the fact that we are losing a lot of our people, especially our young people. One more stat, for every one person that joins the church, so as we celebrate this Easter season, people coming into the church in great numbers, but for every one person who joins, 6 are leaving. Now, I put it to business people. If that was the numbers you're facing in your business, for every one customer you attract, you're losing 6, I bet you'd have a few meetings to talk that problem through. Huh? So I think we as a church need to be deeply attentive to this problem. Now, if you read the studies too, the young people are telling us why they're leaving. And it's a little plug now for my talk at the LA Congress next week, because I'm giving a talk and I'm going to go through the 3 major reasons why young people are leaving. Part of it is an intellectual problem. We have, and I've been on this soapbox for a while, we've dumbed down the faith a lot in the last 40 or 50 years. Listen to young people. They find the faith unconvincing intellectually. They think the sciences have disproven religion. They think religion is disproportionately responsible for the violence in the world. There's all kinds of intellectual reasons that they give, and I do think we need to address that. So come to the Congress talk, and I'll talk about those 3 major reasons. But here's the other thing that I wanted to bring up tonight, precisely in this form. The other thing the young people tell us is they're suspicious of the hypocrisy of institutional religion. Now keep in mind, people 30 years and younger growing up at a time of tremendous scandal, frankly, in the church. And they look at our institutional life and they say, well, this is hypocritical. What they want, they tell us, and it's very clear in all the surveys, what they want is a church that is obviously committed to its own ideals. Now, go back in history, go back over the centuries of the church's life. What first evangelized? How these Christians love one another. The famous line from Tertullian. He was reporting the response of many pagans to the new church. How these Christians love one another. And press it, love not just members of their own community, but they were so impressed that Christians cared for the sick and the dying in the non-Christian world. When it was commonplace to expose a child that was unwanted, Christians refused to do that, and they would rescue the children who had been exposed. How these Christians love one another is what first evangelized. Go a couple centuries later when the Roman Empire collapsed. What re-evangelized and eventually re-civilized Europe? Well, the emergence of the monastic movements. Care for the poor, simplicity of life, radical trust in God's providence. People that lived out the gospel in a public and radical way. Re-evangelized and eventually re-civilized Europe. Fast forward a few more centuries, the time of Francis and Dominic, when the church was going through a time of tremendous institutional corruption, especially among the clergy. Francis and Dominic called people back to the same basic gospel values. Simplicity and poverty, care for the poor, radical trust in God's providence. And they revolutionized the church. Look at our own time. John Paul II, my great hero, was the second greatest Catholic evangelist of the 20th century. The first clearly was Saint Teresa of Calcutta. Someone that never wrote a book of apologetics, never wrote a book of theology. But more than anybody else in the 20th century, she evangelized. Why? Why? Because she was a saint, and she lived the Catholic faith in a radical and public way, showing forth its ideals. Now, I'm telling this group these stories because that's what you do. See, we're having, as many point out, a kind of crisis of saints. The church will always suffer when the saints disappear. When the saints emerge, and all the people I mentioned, up to Mother Teresa, up to the people in this room, who live the Catholic faith boldly and publicly and radically, they will attract people to the church. We're going through a crisis, everybody. I mean, we are losing a lot of our young people. Part of the task is an intellectual revival. No question about that. We need to answer some questions that young people have. But I think equally important, probably more important, is that we do what you do. See, that's what Catholic Charities is all about. Everybody in this room, especially the honorees, are people that have devoted themselves to following Jesus in this concrete way. If we keep doing that, everybody, we keep dedicating ourselves to what you're dedicated to, we will prove magnetically attractive, especially to the young. So, wake up to the problem, yes indeed. I've been saying it over and over again, in all kinds of different forums. Yes, wake up to this problem we're facing. But also, everyone, seize with confidence this great truth. That if we live out our lives in a saintly manner, we will begin to draw people back to the church and back to Christ. See, that's why we're here tonight. And that's why our honorees are not just nice people that we're giving awards to. They are evangelists. They're the evangelists of our time. And that's why we're here tonight to applaud them. So again, on behalf of the Archdiocese, on behalf of Archbishop Gomez, God bless all of you. Thank you for the work you do, and especially blessings to our honorees. Peace, everyone.